Creating with ribbon embroidery is a new way of adding texture to your garments, your sewing, your quilting, and your crafting. We're going to look at some of the different ways that you can add texture to your newest sewing embroidery projects. The first example we're looking at is this fabulous tree. The tree trunk is a ribbon embroidery design that came from my Sewnette library, and before it was stitched out, the background applique fabric was laid down and fused to a background of white. Then the ribbon embroidery was done, and with a couple of fabric markers, one for the tree trunk and one for the background grass that you'll see, they were adding a lot of creativity to a simple ribbon embroidery design. You'll see how much detail there is. And you can take this a lot farther if you wanted to. I could have also added applique fabric to the trunk, but I decided I wanted the look to be a little sheer. Now in the next scene, we're going to explore many different ways of using the ribbon embroidery. We have the octopus, which is an applique. Then the ribbon embroidery was done. And we have the seaweed that is up and down along the left-hand side, including the coral that's down at the bottom. Now, many of these designs were not meant to be seaweed, but they had the appearance that I was looking for. And so it gave the scene so much more interest by adding the ribbon. You can see how three-dimensional they look. And also the fish look three-dimensional because so much of it is coming off the surface of the fabric. In a close-up, you can see the fish. Some of the fish were stitched afterwards onto puffy foam and then applied to the back of the quilt. This elephant is one of my favorites. I love the way it's stitched out. I used an 1/8" black satin ribbon and then afterwards colored it in with some fabric markers. What makes this a little bit unique is that the white fabric in the background has got a painted surface. You can see the design. And then when you use fabric markers on the inside of the elephant, you'll see the pattern where that painted surface is. It absorbs the fabric markers a little lighter, and so you get that pattern still happening on the inside of the elephant. I think he turned out just wonderful. I'm doing a whole series of elephant designs. This is one of them that's in my Sewnette library. In this next design, it's not usually my style, but I did think it was fascinating, and I really love the way that it turned out. It is unique because it uses multiple colors of ribbon, and as it was stitching, when it was time to change from one ribbon color to another, the machine would stop. I would change the color of ribbon and then start up again. And it really does look fascinating on this multicolored background, but it also would look fabulous on the back of a denim jean or a bag. If this is the kind of thing that you love, then you will really enjoy stitching this skull out. The unicorn was a little bit different. I used a purple ribbon that had some metallic in it, and I just added some words to make a fun little part of a design that I was using. I love these sheep. They're so much fun to do. I did them in a couple of different ways, and I made some different colored ones. The first one I used a white ribbon that had a little piqué edge to it, and then instead of using the ribbon, I used the same design and added minky for a little bit fluffier look to it. So you can combine these kinds of ideas anytime you would like to add a little dimension. This baby design was just adorable. I loved how cute he looked, and I was really surprised to see all the different opportunities to add ribbon. His hair could be used with different types of ribbon. I used a narrow silk ribbon, also in his shirt and his diaper. To add a little bit more dimension to the back of his diaper, I added some polar fleece first, and then I added a 1/4" ribbon on top of it. So he really does look three-dimensional if you saw him in person. He's just so cute. Absolutely love them. I also worked on a little baby jacket where I added ribbon along the bottom and in many places along the collar and the sleeves. On the right side of the jacket, there are 3 different flowers that were done using silk ribbon. And it just had so much fun playing with how we could add a lot of creativity to a little baby jacket. I just love the variety of embroidery designs that we have with the ribbon embroidery techniques included in it. There's over 200 in the library right now, and there's more coming every day. This was a poodle that I just thought was adorable, and I stitched him out on a little poodle skirt. The bottom part of it has a bias hem and elastic in the waist, but the poodle itself is just adorable. I added a little bling around the neck, and you can see the back legs are stitched and the face, and then you change to put the ribbon embroidery attachment on to do the rest of the ribbon, and that's around the legs and the head and the main body. It's so exciting. Now with this butterfly, I decided I was going to use some really wonky ribbon. It's a multicolored double-sided satin ribbon, which was wonderful. Originally, it had some yellow in it, and I didn't like the yellow. I didn't think it added anything to it. So I took my trusty fabric marker and colored it in so that it turned out orange, and it kind of pulled the design together better, and I thought it turned out really well in the end. Now here's an example of the same design. I stitched the first half of it with the ribbon embroidery, and then the other side I brought in different flowers that I've got from my creative icon and from the library, and I just placed them over the shape where the butterfly was going to go, and that gave it a whole different dramatic look, kind of a different floral collage. Every design is an opportunity to kind of mix it up a little bit, and that's what makes it so exciting. The heart design was originally a one-color design that was done with a ribbon. I used a satin ribbon, but halfway through I stopped it and changed the color of it because I was out of ribbon, so I put in the pink instead of the red. And it turned out pretty well, even though I didn't use the same color, even though that's not the way it was supposed to be. Sometimes we've got to do some exciting things and have fun with the design. Usually you're going to be happier if you let yourself play a little bit. This is such a simple design, but I love it. I just think it looks so symmetrical, and it turned out so pretty. I could see it on a garment, using it repetitively in a lot of different ways in quilt blocks. I think it's pretty cute. Now in this next design, it was a fish design, and I stitched it out on some white fabric, and I decided I was going to try and use it in some different ways. So the next one I did, I layered some Hot Fix Angelina fibers together, and I stitched them first in place. And to do this, it's really very simple. Anytime you want to add an applique, bring your design in twice, and the first design that you bring in, change the color on the screen to another color. And when you do that, it removes all the information about the ribbon embroidery attachment. And so now you can use it as a straight stitch design, and it'll allow you to applique some fabric down first, or in this case, the Angelina fibers. And then after that was done, I went to the second color, which had the ribbon embroidery attachment information. I put the ribbon embroidery attachment on and then stitched the ribbon in place. It's so fun, and once you start playing like this, you can understand how much more you can get out of your designs. Many of you have seen this magnificent lion that was stitched out. The original was meant to have the face, and then the ribbon embroidery would be on the left and right and top of the lion's face. In this instance, I took a little bit of liberties, and I stitched out the lion's face and the area where the ribbon is just with stitching it with thread. And then I laid some applique fabric down that I used to stick and fuse to on the back of, cut the shapes out, and laid it in place. And then I went back over and added the ribbon to one side of the face. There's a lot of different ways of doing this. And if you're interested in learning more about this, you should talk to your dealers, because we're doing virtual to virtual events where we include a lot of the how-tos of making these kinds of projects. So if you're interested, make sure to talk to your dealer. This design got more creative because I was so excited with it that I started making more of them. In the next one, I used different kinds of thread for the face. And you'll see I've added some sunflowers. And then in this third example, I changed up the colors of the face a little bit. And then I've added some blues and purples. So just because a lion is, browns and golds doesn't mean we have to stay like that. A lot of times by mixing it up and adding more color, it really makes the design so much more exciting and a lot more fun to work on. I hope you've enjoyed learning how you can use your Pfaff ribbon embroidery attachment to make your sewing and embroidery more creative. Make sure you incorporate that into your next project. You will have so much fun and your creativity will grow by leaps and bounds.